Our next step is going to be in Illustrator. So I've placed my image into Illustrator and I'm going to begin working with this, creating the WPAP style. Before you begin, remember to add a new layer. It's very important to add that new layer so that you're not working on drawing your shapes on the background. That won't work when we go to fill in the shapes. So again, make sure you add your new layer. And then I'm going to zoom in on an area to start with. So I'll zoom in on the face of it here. And I'm going to grab my pen tool and begin to outline highlights and shadows. So when I'm looking at the face here, instead of outlining just the eye like this all the way around, and I'm gonna hide my fill, so you can go ahead and hide your fill. Instead of doing something like this where you're outlining the entire eye or outlining the entire eyebrow, what you want to do again is look for value change. So ignore everything else and look for value change. I'm going to go ahead and hide my fill again. So when I say value change in the eyebrows, there's a couple different values. I have the really dark shadow here, so I'm going to go ahead and outline that. And just click with straight lines to create some different abstract shapes. And then there's also this other line here behind it that's a little bit lighter. So we have that light gray of the eyebrow that I'm outlining all the way around as well. You'll notice that the lines kind of blend in when I click off of this. So you can see that I still have both of my lines there, but they kind of blend in. So if that's the case, you can hold down Shift, select your lines, and change the color of them. So I'm going to click over here, maybe pick a bright blue that's going to really stand out. And then hit OK, and you can see your lines better. I'm going to grab my pen tool again and continue. And when I have my pen tool this time, I'm going to make sure that my stroke is changed to that light blue, so I don't have to worry about going back in and changing that. As you're working, always double check, make sure you're on that top layer, you're not on your background image. I'm going to lock that layer just to be safe, to make sure that I'm not working with that at all. So make sure that background layer is locked and you're starting on your new layer. Again, I'm going to change that fill or the stroke, make sure it's an obvious color that I'll be able to see, and continue on. I'm going to jump over to the eyebrow and nose over here and just outline this darker shape. Again, I'm trying to keep it geometric, making those boxy rectangular shapes versus the triangles that we do with the low poly. So I'm just outlining all the way around here, trying to look for sections that are really dark. And then I'll go back and find some areas that are a little bit lighter, so that lighter gray around the outside of the nose. If I wanted to start my next path on this anchor point, notice that little minus button that comes up when I click on it. If that's the case, if a minus button ever shows up when you're adding to a path, just hold down Shift, click on it, and it will let you add on to that path. So I'm going to go ahead and continue here, go around the outside of the nose with this darker gray. One thing you can do is kind of jump around, so overlap some of the shapes. That will create some interest and break up the colors a bit. So if I wanted to jump from this darker gray that I'm outlining, I see this highlight across here that I can outline. I'll go ahead and do that. Hold down Shift to close my path. And then if you hit Enter, it will get rid of that connection and you can continue back wherever you would like. So I'll start back over here, holding down Shift, outline this lighter gray around the eyebrow, and bring it back, hold down Shift to connect my shape. Then I'm going to hit Enter, and just going ahead and continuing, outlining a bunch of different areas of value. When you go to outline the eye, again, remember not to create one shape, but look for those areas of value change. So in the middle of the eye, there's that little bit of a highlight. So I'll add that. I'm going to hit Enter and try and start over here and go around that darker shadow. So I'm going around the eye here and back to the beginning. There's some areas of highlight, so this hair that kind of comes through part of her eye. I'm going to go all the way to the top here and create that line and then close my path. And I'm going to hit Enter, and zooming in will help on areas of really fine detail. So I'm going to go through and outline all of these little areas of highlight just so I can try and include those details. The eye is an important part of the image, so it definitely helps to add a bunch of detail to those smaller areas. So the eyes, the lips, nose, and eyebrow. All the facial features should have the smallest shapes. And then as you go out towards the cheeks, and you'll see some of these highlights over here, that's where you'll add some of the larger shapes. Now, even though most of this is highlight, this is still a pretty big shape, and the image might become a little bit too boring if you don't try and break this up somehow. So I'm going to break it up a little bit. I might overlap over here to outline this gray. When I come down to the bottom here and connect to the eyebrow, I might overlap back over here to outline part of the hair. So again, just jump around and find different areas to outline.